Let's take a deep breath together. Letting go, turning within, shifting from our daily communion with outer things to an inner communion with that of spirit, with our awareness of that in us, which is light, which is peace, which is love, which is harmony. We breathe into that awareness, releasing the day and letting the healing begin as thoughts of concern are transformed into peace, as worries are transformed into hope, into faith, into inspiration. We're grateful for this opportunity to join together in unity, to remember the truth that sets us free. And for this, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. As we shift into our time of sacred chant, we remember the truth of our being as light, and that each person in our lives, each person in the world is a being of light. Together, we shine.
I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world.
And we shine,
And we shine,
and we shine,
and we
and we
shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world.
Our next chant is a mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings experience happiness and freedom. samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Loka 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 samasta sukhino bhavantu.
When I breathe in, shalom, salam, shanti, shanti, shanti. Thoughts I'm thinking, shalom, salam, shanti, shanti, shanti. Words I'm speaking, shalom, salam, shanti, shanti, shanti. All I'm feeling, shalom, salam, shanti, shanti, shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
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 Shanti, shanti, shanti. Shanti, shanti, shanti.
And so I invite you now to take a deep breath in, relaxing around that breath and adjusting your seating so that you are balanced and grounded, feet on the ground, on the floor, feeling yourself resting with your spine straight and your body soft, hanging from your shoulders, moving evenly into your hips, legs, breathing and adjusting your shoulders, your neck and head, finding the right and perfect space for deep breath in and all the way out. And breathing in and out with a sense of calm and rhythm. And I'm inviting you this evening into an experience in this meditation such that with your eyes closed now, picture yourself in the middle of an instance of one of the greatest difficulties of your life. Perhaps it's one you're having now or one you've had in the past. Could be difficulty at work or a personal relationship. As you remember it, picture it. Think about it, breathing all the way in and all the way out. Feel it. Whatever way your own heart and mind sense it. Letting yourself now re-experience that scene vividly. The people who are there, the difficulty, and how you're feeling in reaction to them. Breathing now and feeling. Allowing yourself to be experiencing it at its worst. Whatever intensity it reached, or whatever intensity you feel it now. Notice how your body feels in the midst of this, and how you act, and what state your heart is in. Breathing. And then imagine that there is a knock on the door that you must answer. Excuse yourself and step outside. And where you find waiting for you is someone like the Buddha or Jesus or Mother Mary or the great goddess of universal compassion. One of these beings has come to visit you now. And they look at you kindly and ask, "Are you having a hard day? Here, let me trade places with you now. Give me your body and let me show you how I might handle this situation. You can remain invisible while I show you what is possible." And you breathe. And so you hand your body over to the goddess or Buddha, Jesus, whomever, and invisibly follow them back into the thick of the difficulties you left behind. Let the conversation and problems continue as before. Now, breathing, and you notice what you're being shown. How does Jesus or Buddha or Mary, whomever, now respond to this situation? With silence? Or what energy do you feel? What words do they choose? What is the state of their heart in the circumstance now? What is the state of their body? Let them show you the way. Stay with them while they teach you. And you breathe. And you watch. Soon they will excuse themselves again for a moment and walk back to the place where you met them. They lovingly return your body to you. And before they leave, they touch you gently in the most healing way and whisper a few words of advice in your ear now. Listen. Listen to these heartfelt words of wisdom and kindness. Hear them. Imagine them. Sense them. Know them in whatever way you can. Breathe. Relax. Receive. Feel these words of advice, of healing, of wisdom. Feel them now integrating into your body. They are a part of you now. Let them be just what you need as you breathe. As you allow calm and peace to reside in you now. And rest in their love, in their light. In this moment now. Breathe. And gently return now to this time and to this place, bringing with you the peace, the love, the wisdom of this holy moment now. And so it is. Amen.
As we bring our attention to this time and this space, Our spiritual practice continues with our time of giving of our gifts. In Buddhism, this is called dana. It's the practice of giving an offering to where you're spiritually fed so that the teachings can continue and go forward. And so we give in an awareness that we are giving forward to ourselves and to others who will be awakened, renewed, and healed by the teachings of unity and our spiritual practice together. So if you are here in the sanctuary, we have a box by the door on your way out if you'd like to make your offering there. And if you're online or in person, you're welcome to give electronically through our text to give or our website. And so let's join together in blessing our offering as we send it forth to do the beautiful work that it is intended to do with our offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. And so it is.
There is a light that guides you through the storms. There is a place of healing and calm. There is a peace that lives beneath the waves, beneath the sorrow and the joy. There is a stillness and grace. Your tears like rain are falling from the sky. It is God's love that's pouring from your eyes. The wounds of life, they bring healing, my friend. The heart that breaks is but opening again. The heart that breaks is but opening again. There is a light that guides you through the storms. There is a place of healing and calm. There is a peace that lives beneath the waves, beneath the sorrow and the joy. There is a stillness and grace. Your tears like rain are falling from the skies. It is God's grace awakening your sight. The wounds of life, they bring healing, my friend. The heart that breaks is but opening again. The heart that breaks will open again.
Thank you, David. Thank you for that beautiful song. I am excited to bring this message to you this evening. It's not this morning. I've been working on it since this morning, but this is the continuation of our series of A Path with Heart. And this installment is Searching for the Buddha. And there is a saying that if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. And the first time I read that or heard that, my head snapped. That was like a shocker. Like, what in the world could that possibly mean? That doesn't, you know, and there's all kinds of questions that arise. Buddhists are notoriously very peaceful, very, kindness, oriented, very moral, ethical, as well as, not to harm even an insect, let alone a human body. And so all of that contradiction flies in its face, which of course is always the tool that the Buddha uses to wake up. Wake up, snap out of it, get out of your head, stop thinking the way you've been thinking, listen. And so it's always meant to do that. There's many meanings that one can derive from that and teachings from it, but a few include to wake up and stop expecting answers outside of yourself. If you meet the Buddha on the road, wouldn't you defer? Wouldn't you follow? Wouldn't every single movement, every word, every idea, everything that happens, every action would be a model, would be a way to follow. And one would surrender completely and maybe even move into mocking or imitating that action, those words, and would be completely missing the point, completely missing the teaching. Because it is not how to be like this model of the Buddha, but rather to bring the Buddha consciousness that is inside of me into expression through the vehicle that known as Karen, the Christ consciousness in our tradition. Another way is that the Buddha is not outside of you, but the Buddha nature, that Christ consciousness, is within you, and only you can discover it and reveal it. In other words, there are tools, there is wisdom to share, there are teachings, there are practices, there are disciplines, there are ways to see, and getting advice and guidance and teachings from other teachers is important as part of the path, but yet there is also an internal guide within you, and you must never turn away from following that and being able to distinguish it from the ego. That's a practice in itself. But there is a path that is only your path and only your way. And that using all the tools around you will help you discern that and help you find it. Another way to look at it is the Buddha on the road is simply the ego's desire for easy answers. To be rescued from current condition. The Buddha's here. Oh, thank God, Thank Buddha, that my life now, I can follow the teaching. I can find the right answer. I don't have to struggle anymore. I'll just ask. The Buddha will tell me. I will do that. And life will be easy again. Like there's an answer. There's a simple way. And all I have to do is obey. It's the ego's desire for easy answers to be rescued from current conditions or dissatisfactions. It's grasping for easy answers. And so the idea there is not to search for the Buddha outside of oneself, but rather within. When studying and practicing a spiritual teaching, it's important to stay alert, awake, and checking in with oneself about the teaching. In other words, does this feel right to me? If not, where's the chafing? What's not quite right? Is this still for me? Is this my way? Is this the way that's taking me into peace? The goal is always peace and freedom. Peace and freedom. Freedom and peace. Peace and freedom. If you find either of those present in a piece of wisdom or in an action or in a practice or in some writing or an imagery or a thought or an idea, if you find peace or freedom, an open expansion, expansiveness, you're onto something. Hang on to that. That is the thing. Cornfield says, when we're faced with a variety of spiritual teachings and practices, we must keep a genuine sense of inquiry. What is the effect of these teachings and practices on myself and others, you might ask? In his last words, the Buddha said, we must be a lamp unto ourselves. We must shine the light before our own feet. Ooh. Ooh. And doesn't that sound like a red carpet for the ego? Yes, it can be. And therein lies the rub, the balance, the trick. I was raised Catholic, and when I discovered unity and felt called into ministry, I began some in-depth study. Actually on my own, because I had been coming to actually this is my home church. I'd been coming to this church for a couple of years when I felt the calling. And in that time, I had never bothered to take a class or read a book, you know, and then, or become a member. I kept hearing about membership and I was like, member? I was Catholic, you know? All I had to do was move into another parish and give them my address, and they would send me my collection envelopes with my address on it and their return address. And you know, I was on the rolls. I was there. I was I was registered in a way. I didn't know anything about this membership thing, and so I went and found out about where are the teachings of unity. What exactly would it be? And I was told Lessons in Truth would be the book to read that would embody it. What I was really searching for was the creed. I was looking for what is it that unity believes. I wanted all those unity principles I'd been hearing about on a page. I wanted to see it in front of me because I was considering changing my life, changing my family's life. I was going to turn my back on my profession, my career that I had worked toward. I was making a huge investment. I was contemplating it. And I needed to know this wasn't a fad, you know? I needed to know this wasn't some fly-by-night organization that I had happened into, and for a while it felt good to be here, but you know, I was on to something else. You know, you've got some of those in your background, right? Some places you've been that were cool for a while, but they just didn't hold up. Well, I couldn't afford that. So I sat with Lessons in Truth. It's a very thin book. It's 12 chapters, but it's a very thin book. I could easily have paged through it and read it in one sitting almost. And instead, it took me about 6 months, because what I did was I read it one paragraph at a time, and I would stop and I would consider, can I believe that? Do I believe that? Does that feel true? Can I understand that? And if I can, then how would I teach this to somebody else? And I would rehearse words I might use to describe it in my own words to somebody else. And when I was satisfied with that, I would move to the next paragraph. It was that important to me, and it took me that long to assure myself that I was on track with something that was real and something I could hold in myself. That is, I think, a way in which I, in my own way, shone the light on my own path, that I didn't surrender my own understanding. And there were challenges in those pages that I had to overcome, and I had to work it out for myself. And again, I hadn't taken a class or a book. I hadn't sought a teacher out just yet. I didn't want to declare myself until I knew for sure this was the way I would go. Because you see, the purpose of the spiritual path isn't a goal achievement. It's not to become a unity minister, for instance. It isn't. To become a unity minister was not the purpose of my spiritual life. It is the vehicle. It is a role I play. It is a fulfillment of my soul, yes, but it is a medium through which my soul expresses. And I wouldn't have to be this, in this role necessarily, to express the light that I am, but this fits me, and this was my calling for this lifetime. The purpose of the spiritual path is to cultivate and return to wisdom, compassion, to freedom, and truth. Those four things. Wisdom actually comes from the heart. We think it's up here, it's not. It's right here. Wisdom, you know it right here. It just comes out of your heart. Compassion, also heart, but an expansiveness of the heart, and a way to embrace, a way to engage. Freedom, expansion again. Freedom, big, embracing. And truth, deep. Ping, ping. You know, when you hear truth, ping goes off. Let these be your touchstones, however you reach them and however long you experience them. And these are not goals to be achieved. Oh, I have wisdom now. Oh, I'm compassionate now. Oh, I'm free now. Oh, I know truth now. No. These are eternal, they are limitless, and they are states of being. The depth of wisdom, the expansion of compassion, how big, how much can you endure? How much can you hold? How much can you accept? How big can you, much more could you embrace? State of freedom. Entering into freedom is a state, and you can stay there until you contract again. Then you drop out, and you become imprisoned for a moment by fear or concern or worry or anxiety or whatever, until you remember the truth. And you enter into a state of truth and awareness of truth. In Matthew, someone came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why do you ask me what is good? There's only one who is good. If you wish to enter into eternal life, keep the commandments." He said to him, "Which ones should I keep?" And Jesus said, "You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And the young man said to him, "I have kept all of these. What do I still lack?" Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be perfect, go sell your possessions. Give money to the poor and you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me." When the young man heard this word, he went away grieving, for he had many possessions. What Jesus was saying is that it's not just how to act in the world, how to appear spiritual or holy or good. What good deed must I do? What looks right? Because it's not about how we look or act. It is what energy we come from. What is within us that is being revealed? What is the truth of us? What is our authentic self coming into expression? Jesus also said, "Strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." The kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven, what does he say? Where does he say it is? It is in the midst of you. It is within you. It is the Christ consciousness. It is the portal through which every good thing comes. Every blessing, every grace, every beautiful thing, all love. No matter what path you choose or teacher to follow, you must remain aware of that ping, touching truth in your heart center. That's what you pay attention to. That's what you notice. It happens on its own as well. It's not something you can gin up and make happen. You can't make something mean something and get that ping. It catches you off guard because it comes when you least expect it often. It grabs your attention. It wakes you up. Snap out of it. Ah. Smell the coffee. Ah. Oh. That's what it means. You suddenly know that you know that you know. You suddenly know that you know that you know. This is the truth. That's what it is. Ah, I see it now. And you have no need to run around and convince anyone of it. You might want to go celebrate. You might share it with someone who loves you or someone that you want to. Guess what? An insight today. I got it. But it's not to convince them or to get their buy-in from it. You know what is true. And if they don't accept it, and if they brush you off because it brushes up against something that's a little painful for them or a little sticky for them or something that challenges them, that's okay. You know to pull back. You know to protect it because you know that you know that you know. Because the ping in your heart. Cornfield says, in his last words, the Buddha said, we must be a lamp unto ourselves. We must find our own true way. Jean from Massachusetts lost her husband to suicide. In her grief, she had studied and meditated with a Tibetan community and a Sufi community, and she had also visited a Christian mystical community as well. And after he had died and she was being consoled and working through her grief, a Tibetan friend came up to her and said, I saw him. Your husband, he's fine. The vision was so clear. He was entering the bardo of light of the Western realm of the Bodhisattva Amitabha. I could sense it so clearly. Everything is fine. And she was heartened by that. And then her Christian friend saw her, and she said, I saw your husband. He's fine. I've seen him. I had a profound vision in my meditation, and he's surrounded by white light in the heaven of the ascended masters. And this confused Jean a little bit and shook her up. And then a Sufi master, an old friend of hers, was visiting. And he said, your husband is fine, you know. He's already entered a womb and will take birth in a female body through parents living in the Washington, D.C. area. I've been following his consciousness in my meditation. She was definitely confused and upset and came to Jack Cornfield and asked what she should do with this information. And so he asked her to consider carefully what she actually knew herself. If she put aside the Tibetan teachings and the Sufi teachings and the Christian mystical teachings and looked in her own being and in her own heart, what did she already know that was so certain that even if Jesus and the Buddha were to sit in the same room and say, no, it's not, she could look them straight in the eye and say, yes, it is. I was asking her to put away all her philosophies and beliefs, the maps of past and future lives and more, reminding her what she might be, which she knew, which might be very simple actually. And finally, out of the quiet, she said, I know that everything changes. And not much more than that. Everything that is born dies. Everything in life is in the process of change. I then asked her if perhaps that wasn't enough. Could she live her life from that simple truth, fully and honestly, not holding on to what inevitably must be let go? And perhaps this simple understanding would be enough to live a wise, and spiritual life. Cornfield says, it's not perfection we must seek, but freedom of the heart. In the words of the Buddha, just as the waters of the great oceans all have one taste, the taste of salt, so too, all true teachings have but one taste, the taste of liberation. Liberation comes not as a process of self-improvement or perfecting the body or the personality. We learn to see with the heart, which loves, rather than the mind, which compares and defines. In the meditation practice that you used this evening, whatever your experience was or wasn't, Jack Cornfield uses that meditation many times in his workshops and retreats. And he's listened to the experiences that people have come to him with. And here are a few of those examples. Here are some of the simple solutions of the guided meditation that have come from the groups he's had. He said, someone saw the Buddha coming to replace them, to confront an angry boss about an overdue project. The Buddha stayed present and strong, yet kept his body soft. The only words he said were, "You must feel a great deal of responsibility for holding all of this together." Immediately, the boss softened, and the employee and he were able to talk. In another, a person was on a home visit with very critical parents, where the goddess of compassion took over her body, and instead of fighting them, simply sat down, watched TV with them, and tried to love them anyway. As the goddess left, she whispered in the ear of the frustrated daughter, "Don't go home too often." Another image was of Mother Mary, who came to a mother who pictured herself harried in the morning with 3 demanding children, feeling there was no time for herself, struggling greatly with the situation. Mother Mary came in and sat down on the floor and started to play with the kids. She set limits, mind you, and sent them off when it was time for them to go to school. But mostly, she gave them whatever they wanted. When she left, she whispered to the harried mother's ears, "Just love them a lot, and don't worry about the housework." The lamp of understanding is instilled inside of us. The heart is the space within us. It is the vessel through which the teaching comes, and the teacher speaks, and the wisdom arises, and the ping of resonant truth sounds. You are calibrated perfectly for the conditions in your life. Trust that. Trust yourself. Read what feeds you. Spend time in meditation. Nurture yourself. Bring loving friends into your life. Find wise teachers. But in every case, reference back to whether this is true for you. How is it true? And how might you go forth to be the light you are? And so it is. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. I was thinking about if you did see the Buddha on the road and you killed him, what kind of karma would that bring on you? and that there's the Buddhist practice of living as if everyone is awakened and everyone is a Buddha except you. And so you're here to learn from them. And so I thought there was that combination of the teaching of kill the Buddha so you find the light within you, and also be humble about it because you're not the only light, right?
Exactly. Yes, and you know, it is a delicate balance, and it is fraught with. Sometimes we err on the side of ego, and then sometimes we err on the side of pretentiousness. Well, that's ego. I was going to say pretentious. Oh, I've got it all figured out now, you know, for 10 seconds. You know, here's the thing. You know, whenever I feel like, I got it now. I usually just, I thank God, and I go, thank you, I'll take it from here, you know? And I picture that I'm already sliding downhill. I mean, I make a turn, and I take a step down. I mean, I've already lost it because I think I got it, and I forget that it's being in the state, right? It's traveling with. It's not instead of. It's with. And so however we can get with it and however long we can ride that wave, I think that's it. And every time we realize we've fallen out of the wave, all we have to do is get back in it and just choose it. And it's peace, or it's freedom, you know, or it's truth, it's trust, it's whatever, you know. All those things will bring us back to that place in us. Whatever it is that works for you, that's the practice, right?
There are so many metaphors that come to mind describing this state of epiphany that is fleeting, and yet you want to live into it. The one that comes to mind at this moment is balance. All balance is managing imbalance. You know, it's just shifting where you're falling, as it were. In the moment, oh, I got it. You freeze, that's the beginning of the end, right? You know, so it's, that's just one metaphor. I did have a question, though, that I wanted to put to you. I don't know that you said it this overtly, but I heard it multiple times in your sharing tonight about the lamp, the lamp within, the Buddha lamp within ourselves. And then you also referred to the Christ light within. And like I say, I don't think you said it literally, they are one and the same. But the way you talked about them, one could draw that conclusion. Yeah. And I'm just betting, you know, in your study or in your contemplation, that you have some nuance around that. Can you talk a little bit about if they are exactly the same, then I'd be interested in hearing about that from you. Or if there is a subtle difference, at least in perception, about the Christ light within or the Buddha lamp within. I'd be interested in hearing you talk about that.
So how I see it is this. The nuance that you're describing will always be a cultural one. Because the Eastern mind is wired differently than the Western mind. Our language, our view of the world, everything. So I remember Joseph Campbell saying, maybe even before I knew unity, he said that something to the effect that a Western person can go and live in an ashram, and they can study, and they can learn everything they need to learn about how to be a Buddhist priest, and become one, and shave their head, and do the whole 9 yards, and learn the language, and speak it fluently, and know the prayers, and do everything. And still, unless they make peace with Jesus, unless they bring their God into this experience, they will not have progressed at all. Because we are wired in those two different ways. And so in my own world, I do use them interchangeably. Because to me, the beauty of unity has taught me that there is not one right way. But all the mystical paths of all the great traditions have survived and have been useful to this point because they are the way. And they've been the way. And they almost all are in agreement. Do you know what I mean? There are variations, perhaps, you'll find, but for the most part, they are in agreement, and they all point to the truth and the one truth. And that gives me confidence and trust that I'm on the right path, that I am not going to wake up one day and go, what? Huh? You know, the rules change. What? I know I'm on the right path. Now, I may not always be walking it, but I know where it is, and I know what it is. So thank you for that great question.
Well, brilliant answer. I mean, just exactly, I knew you had something wise to say about that.
Yes, I love that topic of, I'm particularly passionate about the importance of healing where you have your wounds in religion. Like, you can move into another tradition and learn all the practices, but if you haven't healed this over here, and it made me think of what I heard about the missionaries going to India and bringing Christianity to India, and they go, wow, they accepted Jesus so well. And to go into a home and to see the altar with Vishnu and Ganesh and Shiva, and there's Jesus. They just added Jesus in with the other gods. Oh yes, he's a god. So they incorporated him into their culture because that's their framework.
Yes, yes. And in Hinduism, right? In Hinduism.
Yes,
See,
yes.
Hinduism is the oldest, and this is the brilliance of Hinduism, is that it has over 500 gods or so. And while that sounds excessive and overwhelming, the beauty of it is that it is practicing the inclusion of recognizing divinity in all of its many forms. And every time a new form shows, they embrace it. And because they recognize the intrinsic nature of what divinity offers. And they recognize the light, or the ping goes off, or whatever. And that is why Hinduism has existed, the longest, oldest religion there is, and has done so successfully, because it doesn't make you choose Shiva or Ganesh or one of the others. You're part of the team. This is just your flavor. This is your flavor of God that you need this lifetime.
I'd like to ask another question in a way. You refer to the ping, that you didn't use the word epiphany, but that's what I'm hearing, like there's a moment of recognition. It's like, oh, there it is, and it's fleeting and inherently fleeting. But one could eavesdrop on what you're saying as if it were a passive process, that the ping happens to you. And I know that's not really what you mean. And I'm sort of trying to find the food for myself in your lesson, and I'm thinking of a funny golf adage that Jack Nicklaus and many others say, that it's amazing how lucky I get when I practice. So I'm thinking that there's a spiritual practice. There are things that we do that are consistent with living in that flow. And then within that practice, then there are these moments of recognition that kind of show up like a bright light that happen in an instant. Is that anything like what you're talking about, or are you describing something different?
Actually, David, I'm going to tell you that I am exactly saying it's passive.
Okay.
I am exactly saying that, because the mystical experiences that have occurred to people have often come out of nowhere, where there was no practice, there was nothing out of the ordinary in what they were doing or even thinking in the moment, and out of suddenly light behind everything begins to be revealed. Almost music plays. I mean, like a profound peace and a complete sense of oneness, that unitive experience befalls them. not because of anything that they can trace back or repeat or make happen again. It does find them. Because why? Because it's been there all along. And for what purpose? Perhaps to wake them up. It is a grace. Have I ever received it? No. And I'm waiting. I totally want to. I can imagine it, but I haven't experienced it. And then I realized maybe I don't need to have it if I'm instead looking for it everywhere. I'm searching for the Buddha. I'm searching for the light. I'm always aware. So I'm not always aware. I mean, I'm aware when I'm not aware. I'm aware when I haven't been aware. You know what I mean? Like I wake up, I go, oh gosh, I'm still, you know, I could have had a V8, you know. But the whole idea is that this is part of the deal. And I want to go back to what you said, which is not to negate practice. Practice, of course, is important. But honestly, what you want to do instead, not instead, what you want to do as part of that is to catch fire. What you want to do is, this becomes the most important thing in your life. The truth. The peace. If I'm not at peace, then it doesn't matter what else I'm doing. Then I'm in the wrong relationship, or I'm in the wrong job, or I've stayed too long, or I haven't gotten there yet, or something. Something isn't, the conditions need to change, because I am finding myself not at peace anymore. You see what I mean? That is my ping. That is my guiding light. That is the lamp on my feet. It doesn't mean the job itself is a bad job that somebody else shouldn't have. It just means time up for Karen. I gotta go find it over, I gotta go look someplace else. Do you see? And I've done that in my life. I've stopped, I left here at one time at the height of really a great life and a great career, and I loved the people and I loved what I did, but I also knew intuitively that if I didn't leave, something serious would happen to me. And I don't mean a threat from God or anything exactly, but I know that if I didn't act on it, my light would go out. Do you know what I mean? My zest for life, my whatever. And I would know that I was supposed to leave. And if I let my fear keep me from doing that, then that was a sellout. How can you live in a sellout and still teach and be of good use to anybody? I would be defying my whole purpose. I couldn't reconcile that. So I had to go. I just had to. And so I did. And then I came back, yes, which I also did not ever see happening, but but I'm beyond thrilled that it's worked out beyond my dreams even, so beautifully.
And we have been so blessed that you made that choice. You have blessed us all. And I know that I take away from your message, Karen, that thought of what would Jesus do, which puts us in a mind of first century Jesus in his cultural context, rather than that, what would Jean Marie Christ do? What would Karen Christ do? David Christ? And even knowing that tool that you gave us so beautifully, the meditation is always available to us to let the Christ or the Buddha step in and have this experience and just sense into that, feel into that.
Yeah, wasn't that great? That Jack Cornfield, just put that at his feet. That's a practice he uses in meditation. Isn't that beautiful? Yes. I wanted to gift it to you guys so that you could use it in your life.
Well, let us take all of that energy, all of those pings, ahas, awakenings into our time of prayer. So we breathe in consciously once again, letting go. Sensing in our hearts what is calling for prayer this evening. What is that person you'd like to experience peace with? That situation that you'd like to see healed, or some collective conflict that is calling for our prayers. Let it all arise so we can speak those names, conditions, places into the sacred space and lift them up together in prayer. Speak those names now. We see the transforming power of God already at work in these lives, already bringing greater awareness of peace and freedom, awareness of light in the midst of darkness. We are grateful that these prayers are heard and that divine power is already in movement. The healing has already begun. Thank you, God. Amen. Let us join together again on Sunday for another unity experience of truth as Reverend Michael shares the message, Healing. The gift is already given. And look at those numbers. Sunday, April 11th at 11. How auspicious is that? You've got to be there for that. It's going to be a beautiful experience as he continues his series on Charles Fillmore's The Revealing Word. At the Spanish language service, Claudia Olmos will be sharing the message, Sanación, el regalo ya es de nosotros. And that will be at 9:45 on our Unity of Houston and Espanol Facebook page. Our spirit groups are starting up again. They are all online, so wherever you are in the world, you can be in a Unity of Houston spirit group. So we hope that you'll join us. They begin soon, April 18th. There's still time to sign up. Go onto our website and check it out. There are wonderful topics that you'll definitely find something to interest you and connect with some beautiful people who may become lifelong friends. So check that out. This Sunday, Trey Yates is going to be sharing his workshop, Leaving a Legacy, Giving Beyond a Lifetime. So this is a free workshop on learning how to do legacy giving in your will. It is so, I went once, so informative. I took tons of notes. It's just great free legal advice that we're offering for you. And it's at 1:30 on Zoom this Sunday. So we hope you'll join us for that. Next Wednesday, I will be continuing our Path with Heart series with accepting the cycles of spiritual life. So we know spiritual life has ups and downs and different dynamics. Let's talk about it and explore that together. Next Wednesday, we have space for you here in the pyramid. We hope that you'll come join us in person. And of course, we'll always be live streaming and connecting with you all here as well. We have a Unity Women's event coming up Saturday, April 17th with Donna Fisher and Helen Terry, Music and Movement as a Spiritual Practice. Please register on our website, and that will be a way for you to get moving and bringing the Spirit into your body and your physical awareness. Reverend Karen.
So let us enter into prayer one more time this evening, and we will use our metta practice to condition ourselves for this evening. Together, by the power of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond suffering. May they rest in equanimity that knows no grasping or hatred. May they experience the equality of all beings. May my practice be of benefit to all.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, namaste, I bow to you. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Go shine your light into the world. Namaste, namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, namaste. Go shine your light.